All right, strange story, but the story has been verified. At least the one who wrote the story said that the story was verified by great rabbis. Rabbi Sonnenfeld and another rabbi verified it. What's the story? The story is like this. The story was in, I guess, what does it say, Prague or something like that. This must have been, I guess, before the war, before World War II. And there was a woman whose husband passed away. The husband, he had been a rich man, and he lost most of his money, and he passed away. So tragedy brought tragedy. He lost most of his money, and he passed away. But his wife, who didn't have any sons, she wanted someone to say Kaddish for her husband. So she went to the local yeshiva, and everyone was sitting and learning. There was 100 boys who were learning, and she said that she wanted to give money to the yeshiva if there was someone would say Kaddish for her husband every day. And they said, okay, good. And she gave, a donation. And she said, I would like it to continue it was such a nice thing. So she thought, what about all the other people that have passed away that don't have anyone to say Kaddish for them? So she had a bit of money. So she went to this yeshiva and she said that she wanted to pay, that Kaddish should be said every day for all those people who have no one to say Kaddish for them. And she's willing to pay like she paid for her husband. And the head of the yeshiva said, oh, good, she'll do it. There is such a thing like that. What was it called? Kaddish can't remember. There's a term used for it. Skipped my mind. Anyway, there's people who no one says Kaddish for them. You got it. Anyway, so she gave this money, and also once a year to save for her husband. Somehow or other happened, and the money that she had, the little bit of money that she had, as there was inflation or whatever. Anyway, she lost the money. She didn't have any money. So she went to the head of the yeshiva and she asked him to do her a favor and to please continue saying Kaddish for her husband and for all these other Meti Olam, I think they're called, Meti Olam, for other people that passed away that don't have anyone to say Kaddish. And she promised she would pay at the end of the year. And the end of the year came and she didn't have any money. So she went to the rabbi again and asked again. And the rabbi said, we're willing to do it, but I mean, it's only fair that you should pay. She said, yes, okay. I promise I'll try to get money. So, and not only that, so she had a daughter also. There's another thing. She also had a daughter, and the daughter was now getting older. And in addition to these problems that she didn't have money to pay for the Kaddish, and she owed money for last year, her daughter was getting married also. She didn't have any money for them. So she was brokenhearted because she was a widow. And now she was brokenhearted because she didn't have money to pay for the Kaddish. And now she was brokenhearted because her daughter was supposed to get married and she didn't have any money for a dowry to make a wedding or anything. So she went outside of this place of learning, and the whole thing just sort of hit her, and she was just, incapable of taking all this bad news, and she started to cry. So she was weeping, and suddenly she heard a voice. Excuse me, ma'am. Is everything all right? She opened up her eyes, and there was this very honorable elder man standing in front of her, and he was dressed very nicely. And he said, is there anything I can? She said, no, it's all right. And the man said, listen, I if it's money, I have a bit of money. Maybe I can help you out. I said, no, I don't want to accept from anybody else. She said, well, just tell me what are the problems. Well, she told about the story about the Kaddish that she made, and also her daughter's getting married. So he said, about how much money do you think you would need for a thing like that? So she was sort of, almost, aggravated by this person. What is he questioning? What is he interrogating me for? I've got enough troubles. Just please, just leave me alone. So she just said an amount, I don't know, 15,000 marks. It was in Germany. That's the story. It was in Germany. 15,000 marks. So he said, okay, he took out a checkbook and he wrote, and he gave it to her, 20,000 marks. So he said, this is a big sum of money, and I want you to go with me to the let's go into the yeshiva and verify this sum. So they went up to she was just amazed. So they went up to the head of the yeshiva and put this check. And he said, this is my name, this is my signature, here's my credentials. And the head of the yeshiva said, yes, I verified, you're right, this is right. And said, good. Says, now if anybody asks you, as you can, maybe that he even signed his name on the back of the check, I don't know. So he said, go to that bank over there. The rich man said, go to that bank. And that's where my money is, and take the money out, and it'll be your money. You can use it for whatever you want. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. She went to the bank, and she went to the manager of the bank, and she showed him the check. And he looked at the check, and he looked at her, and he broke out in a sweat. And he said, who are you? Who are you? Where did you get this check from? Where did you get? So just now, there was a very honorable man. It's just now. He looked at the date. Sure enough, that's just now. Said, how can this possibly be? How can you possibly be? She said, no, the man that gave it to me said that you might have doubts about the veracity of the check. You might think it's forged. So I went to the rabbi of this. He said, this man is my father. He passed away 5 years ago. And I was supposed to say Kaddish for him today or yesterday, whatever was his yahrzeit, and I forgot this. In fact, I left Judaism totally. And this check comes from my father. Come with me. So they went together, and they went to the head of the yeshiva, and he said, yes, that man was just here, and this is his check, and he showed me his credentials. That's his name. So he was amazed. He said that he gave the woman the money, and he returned to Judaism. And he said that afterwards that this story was verified by, if I'm not mistaken, he said Rabbi Sonnenfeld verified the story. Either he was the Rosh Hashiva himself, or he heard this from his father, who was the Rosh Hashiva then, verified. And there was someone else also that verified. I should have written down the names that verified the story. In other words, he came back to the importance of saying Kaddish and the fact that the Jewish people never really die. Here he came back in his body. That's a story. Okay, next story. Here's a good story. That's story number one. I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to tell a second story. 1 second. And I'll put it up on the stop recording.